Hey, how's it going? I'm Greg Larsen. I'm a comedian of sorts. Hey. I got into comedy. I started making YouTube videos, just funny little YouTube videos, and then I transitioned into stand-up. And I started at the sit-down. My first ever gig was a sit-down open mic comedy room. Yeah, Newmarket. It was cool. Yeah. Before comedy, I was a uni student. I started while I was at uni. I was studying sociology, which is a really good degree if you want to, work in a cafe. Comedy was actually a more stable career than that. I was pretty much a uni bum. Then I was a comedian making no money, and now I'm a comedian making some money. The best part about being a comedian is not having to go to a day job. It really is. It's so good. Waking up at 11, staying out late. I like traveling. It's cool. Free drinks. Just getting drunk. Oh man, it's the life. Yeah, the very first time I ever bombed was my second ever gig. I actually did all right at my first gig, but the second ever gig, it was an open mic night here in Brisbane, and I didn't know that you can't just get laughs doing dirty material all the time. I was way too much into like shock. I was just swearing a lot, and there were kids in the front row, and I didn't know how to adapt my set. I had a prepared set. I think I was talking about fingering or something. It was yuck, and there were kids in the room, and I was really nervous, and I kept saying I'm sorry, and then doing more dirty jokes, and it didn't work, and it was one of the worst nights of my life. My favourite comedian, I would say, in Australia would definitely be Anne Edmonds. She is pretty much the best comedian in this country. She's really funny and just really cool. Also, a close second, or maybe even tied for the best, actually would also be Sam Campbell. Sam Campbell is a mental case. He's cool. He's a good friend of mine, and yeah, he's so good. Love him. The highlight of my career so far, it's hard to say. Highlight of my career has probably been the TV work that I've done. Recently I was on a show called Tonightly on the ABC, and that was so much fun. Like literally every day for a year, going to the ABC, making comedy with other funny people. It was an absolute joy. So yeah, that would be the highlight. A lot more political comedy going around, a lot more comedy with a social message. That's been, when I started, the real cool thing to do in comedy was absurd stuff and whimsy and all like crazy shit. And now there's a lot more political stuff going around, which is cool, probably because of the political climate at the moment. I don't know if you've been reading the news, but there's some stuff going on. That would be the biggest change, I think. I would say, if you're going to do it, do it. You can't just go to a gig and once a week and hope you're going to do all right or get your big break. You have to work every day. You actually have to write jokes all day. You have to treat it like a job. If you want to do comedy, you have to be serious about it and write and do gigs and gigs and gigs and just keep doing it for ages. And you're not going to get famous. But if you keep plugging away, you might start making money. I mean, immediately the next thing is I've got a comedy festival show at the Melbourne Comedy Festival and Brisbane as well. After that, I'm doing a podcast with a couple of people, Anne Edmonds and Ben Russell, and that's going really well. And yeah, trying to get more TV work and yeah. Cool, well thanks Sit Down Comedy Club for having me. Check out The Grub. It's my podcast with Anne Edmonds and Ben Russell. It's a mental podcast, it's really good. Check it out, iTunes, whatever. It's called The Grub. Cheers.